My name's Gemma Given and I'm supporting International NASH Day because my husband Stuart was diagnosed with non-alcoholic liver disease last year. The annoying thing is, it was preventable. So, if somebody had said to him 5 years ago, you've got liver problems, you need to watch what you're eating, he would have watched what he was eating. Stuart and I were married for 35 years. We have 2 adopted disabled children. Stuart was a great dad. He was such a nice person. He would do anything for anybody. He just liked to help people. Stuart was always quite healthy. He was never at the doctor's or the hospital. He decided to go on a healthy eating plan in February last year. And after 2 weeks with no other signs, he just started putting on weight and had actually put on 13 kilos in 2 weeks. Well, we have a personal trainer that comes once a week, and the trainer had came and had told Stuart that there was something wrong because you can't put on 30 kilos in 2 weeks. So Stuart phoned the doctor, got an appointment with the GP, went to see the doctor, and when he was there, the doctor said that he would take bloods and that it was probably just a problem with water retention. So he got sent home and was told to go for an ultrasound and an ECG, probably within the next week or so. We got a phone call from the hospital to say that Stuart needed to go into hospital because there was a problem with his liver. We never at any point thought it was going to be anything serious. So he went to the hospital. He, at that time, started retaining fluid in his legs. And by the Friday till the Sunday, he was just getting bigger and bigger with the fluid retention. On the Monday, they decided to move him to a ward for liver disease. And they said they were going to put a drain in and do some investigations. So that's what happened on the Monday. Because we spent most of our time together, he was always texting me to tell me he was okay. On the Monday evening, I received nothing from him and I was quite concerned. I got a phone call about 4 o'clock to say that he'd had to be taken into theatre because he'd had a bleed. So they did an endoscopy and found that they were worried that it could have been the varices, which is a complication of the non-alcoholic liver disease, but we didn't know that's what it was at the time. But they said it was an ulcer that he had and it had burst. So they treated that and he was fine. He got 13 litres of fluid drained off him. He was a bit tired on the Tuesday, got home on the Friday, and he was feeling great. He was told in that time that he did have non-alcoholic liver disease and that possibly in the future sometime he would have to go on a transplant list and get a transplant. So we were quite shocked that it was quite as severe as it was. Stuart wasn't a drinker, so we just couldn't believe that something had happened so quickly that 1 minute he's fine and the next minute we're told he's needing a transplant. On the Friday we were told that the fact of him getting a transplant now was a bit iffy because he'd lost so much weight and because he wasn't keeping any of the tubes in. On the Monday, 3 doctors came in and said that they would be taking him off the transplant list because he looked like somebody who had malnutrition. And I begged and pleaded with them to change their mind. But they said there was no point and they took him off the list. On the Tuesday, I was told that he had another internal bleed and that there wasn't much more they could do for him. So they were going to put him on palliative care. So that is what they did. It was so hard. The thought of never seeing him again, talking to him, holding him, was just devastating. We got the kids to come in to visit, and my daughter was really upset. My son doesn't understand as much as my daughter, so he was just like, "Hi, Daddy, bye, Daddy." On the Wednesday,
I changed my mind. I wanted them to continue treatment, but they told me that I really didn't have a say. And then on the Friday, because I'd been with him and I hadn't left his side from the Monday, Tuesday, the palliative care nurse asked me to leave the room and said that he would probably pass away if I wasn't in the room. And I was like, you don't understand my husband. My husband went for a cigarette when his mum died, and he never ever forgave himself that he wasn't there when his mum passed away. So I knew that he wouldn't do that to me on the Thursday night when it was just me and him. And he looked at me and he was trying to touch my cheek. And I was so upset, but so happy at the same time. It was like we had a little bit of time to ourselves. And then he closed his eyes, and 1:30 on the Friday afternoon, he passed away.